The R&G British Talent Cup arrived in Brands Hatch. It was the first pole position for the youngster Ethan Sparks. He pulled clear of the rest of the field while everyone else squabbled for second. It was a great battle between Harrison McKay, Jack Dunnerby and Philip Sorowiak going for second place in that race. Ryan Frost also joined the fray as well, rising from 11th on the grid after a crash in qualifying. The quartet squabbled over the spot. They changed places more times than we could count, and more often than not, quicker than we could call it as well. But the rain flags were being waved. Initially, just some psychological rain. That didn't stop the battles from unfurling. These youngsters putting on an epic display with Jack Dunnerby leading into Surtees, McKay going up the inside of Sorowiak there. But the red flags were eventually shown for the adverse conditions, giving Ethan Sparks his first victory in the championship. Race 2 for the R&G British Talent Cup in Brands Hatch. Slightly different conditions. The rain does still seem to be somewhat in the air, but hopefully it just remains that psychological rain before getting to the downpours that we saw yesterday that red flagged the race. Good to see Ryan Frost has made it to the grid. I went past the Fibertech by MLAV Racing awning on the way up to the commentary box, and there was a bit of drama down there as his bike wouldn't start, and I just saw Ryan just staring into the distance, the 1,000-mile stare, but luckily they have been able to get that bike ready. As it was yesterday though, it's Ethan Sparks who starts on pole position, having set the fastest lap of the race yesterday. Despite the rain coming down, seemed to find more time out there, did young Ethan. It was his first victory in the championship yesterday, a dominant display while everyone else squabbled for second place. It was eventually Jack Dunnerby and Philip Sorowiak who joined him on the podium, with Philip Sorowiak retaking the championship lead by just 1 point to Ryan Frost. We'll go through the full standings in a bit, but Danny Buchan alongside me, we're excited to see these youngsters back out.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Ethan Sparks now. He's won that race yesterday. You know, he'll have a huge weight lifted off his shoulders. And, you know, with that sometimes comes that release of pressure. So, you know, we might see him just get to the front and clear off. You know, he was quick yesterday when the rain came. He said it sort of upset his rhythm a little bit, and he's hoping it doesn't come. But like you said, Chris, it's in the air. You know, it was raining a little bit in Sector 1 in that Superstock race. And, yeah, let's hope the rain stays away.
Well, if that upset his rhythm, then I'd love to see what him in full rhythm looks like, because he seemed impervious. There's the championship standings, 1 point between Philip Sorowiak, who retook the championship lead yesterday over Ryan Frost. Ethan Sparks now up into third position. The top two in the championship will start next to each other on the grid. As we said, Frosty had a little bit of work to do yesterday. A crash in qualifying put him 11th on the grid. He rose up to 5th. He goes from 6th in this one. Let's go through the full grid. It's Ethan Sparks, our race 1 winner, who goes from pole position, then Harrison McKay and Jack Dunnerby alongside him. Jack Burrows, the only non-finisher from yesterday, starts 4th, then Philip Sorowiak and Ryan Frost, top 2 in the championship. Julian Correa, Peter Willis, Clayton Edmonds on the 3rd row of the grid, Mason Foster, George Bowes and Josh Raymond Jr. on the 4th row of the grid, and completing the top 15 is Charlie Huntingford, Ben Joliffe and Blake Wilson. So, Danny, once again, we've got Jack Burrows to put into the equation. Went down quite early yesterday, that arcade machine splitting the group of RS run machines at the front of the field.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one with Jack Burrows starting P4, but also Ryan Frost. You know, he started a little bit further back, didn't he, yesterday? And I think, you know, if he can get up to the front with Philip Sorowiak, you know, they've got to try and stop Ethan Sparks, because obviously yesterday he just managed to do so well in the opening laps and get himself away from the pack. So it's, yeah, I think they've got to hope that Ethan doesn't get a great start and then try and, you know, try and do something to him. But Harrison McKay as well, starting 2nd. You know, obviously after that win that got taken away from him at Snetterton, you know, he's sort of there and he's ready for that first win. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Chris.
As are we, all these youngsters on identical Honda machinery on the road to MotoGP. There is Ethan Sparks. First came to Brands Hatch in the arms of his father at just 3 years old. Sat underneath the umbrella in the grandstand watching Superbike racing. Yesterday he added his name to the list of winners in the British Talent Cup, and of course aiming for a 2nd today. The 14-year-old starting from the front once again, but he's got stiff competition behind him. The green flag waved at the back then. Ethan Sparks on the right-hand side. Harrison McKay and Jack Dunnerby waiting to challenge him into Paddock Hill Bend. Red lights are on, lights are out, we're racing. Really great stuff from Harrison McKay from second on the grid, but also a really good one from Jack Burrows as well. He goes tight to the inside, but it should be Harrison McKay who has the whole shot. Ethan Sparks trying to brave it out around the outside and actually has just been able to hang on to the lead on the outside of the first corner. Great stuff. Frosty making a big dive on the inside and moves up into third position as well. The Fibertech by MLav rider moving from 6th to 3rd in the first couple of corners and moving ahead of Jack Burrows. Philip Soroviak seemingly getting shuffled down the pack a little bit. He's there squabbling with Juliana Correa and the number 63 of Jack Dunnerby as well, that started on the front row of the grid. Up at the front of the field though, it's Sparky who's got the jump.
Yeah, Soroviak seems to have just got boxed in a little bit there and managed to, he's in about 5th or 6th place there, Chris. But Ethan Sparks there, he sort of ran a little bit wide into turn 1, but just kept the gas on down Paddock Hill and up into Druids, and managed to sort of fight that out with McKay for the lead. So, he's doing what he needs to do.
Peter Willis on that red and white number 99 machine also made a great start, up to 4th from 8th, made that 5th because Philip Soroviak has just gone past the Silverstone winner. He was up there on the Grand Prix support at Bill, one of very few different race winners we've had so far this year, thanks to Philip Soroviak being pretty much win or bust so far this season, with the exception of yesterday where he finished a race for the first time not on the top step of the podium. Harrison McKay giving chase to Ethan Sparks here, going into clearways. Two slightly different lines there around the final corner as we come to complete the first lap of racing. Very little separating the two teammates, Ethan Sparks and Harrison McKay, both at very different stages of their careers. Harrison McKay much more experienced, his 5th year in the championship, whereas Sparky still in his first. And as we mentioned, McKay had that very emotional first win, taking away from him at Snetterton. That was Sparky going a little bit wide into Drews. Has that cost him the lead? No, not quite. Harrison McKay still sitting there in 2nd position. McKay we saw out in Knock Hill, not on British Talent Cup machinery, but on the sport bike specification Cove, as they continued their development on that bike. But back on the 125 for this weekend. They're starting to pull away a little bit from Frosty, and once again the top 2 in the championship are line astern in the race order. It's Frost, Soroviak, Peter Willis, and then Jack Dunnerby. Dunnerby, the Scotsman, trying to find a way on the inside into Hawthorne. No way through for him there, so still sitting in behind Peter Willis. Soroviak going for a place on his championship rival and into the podium spots as well. Soroviak moves past Ryan Frost. A lunge on the inside here from Harrison McKay into Sheen. That was never going to come off.
No, Soroviak's not waiting about. That last lap, Chris, he's obviously seen that gap, appearing at the front, and he's just thinking to himself, I need to try and get myself through here and onto the back of this lead pack, because McKay's doing a good job. He's sort of risen to the occasion here with Ethan Sparks, and although Ethan made that mistake at Druids a lap before, he's still doing a great job. So I think Soroviak now, they need to sort of work together these next 4 to try and close that gap, and I really think that if they can sit behind Philip Soroviak, which Ryan Frost doesn't look like he wants to do, is that they can close that gap.
Dive on the inside once again from Harrison McKay, nothing doing there. There was a look from Frosty as well, but the move that was made was Jack Dunnerby on Peter Willis, as the Willis machine went very wide out of clearways and allowing Dunnerby to go through, trying to retake that 5th spot straight away and managing to do so into Druids.
McKay was off the track there coming out of Druids. He just ran so wide. He was on the high curb and just touched a little bit of the green paint there. And it's a real, on these smaller machinery, on the smaller motorcycles, the curbing is horrible because they're really stiff bikes these. So he was a little bit out of the seat and a little bit unsettled there.
I was hearing about the stiffness of these machines, particularly through Sheen Curve, where it's still quite bumpy out there, bumpier than it has been in previous years. And these guys are feeling it more than most out there this weekend, I would have thought. Right, Jack Dunnerby moving ahead of Peter Willis. Once again, that's the change for 5th place between Dunnerby and Willis. Willis mentioned a winner from this year. Jack Dunnerby, 2-time a podium finisher. I thought McKay was going to have the run there once again. He seems very good out of Westfield, down Dingle Dell towards the Sheen Curve. And you can see that that group of bikes fighting over 3rd position is starting to close in on the leading pair.
Yeah, they've closed the gap right up. Dunnerby was the quickest rider that last lap and quickest in this race so far, with a 35.7. And that was, quite a few attempts quicker than the lead pack. And they've done a good job. They've sat behind Filip Soroviak and he's managed to pull them and drag them right to that lead group. So I think we're going to have a 6-way battle here for the lead. But yeah, Peter Willis is doing a great job just hanging in there.
Clayton Edmonds leading the next train of bikes over the line in 7th position. Then Julian Correa on the inside of Mason Foster and Josh Raymond Jr. Sparky again going very wide. Doesn't this remind you of the Jack Dunnerby line from Coram at Snetterton, where he was going so wide on the way in and Frosty would have a little look on the inside, and Spark seems to really like that wide entry into Druids.
Yeah, they've got a lot of learning, these guys. They're learning all the time, every lap, every corner, and until they get stuffed up the inside. His line there was a little bit wide, to be fair, but he's doing a good job. He's not losing much lap time when he's making these small little mistakes. He's doing a great job, but I don't know if you can see, Chris, in that last camera shot over the top of the Brands Hatch building, the weather looks horrible.
We've got Jensen Bishop down the road. Shame to see that. Not quite sure where that was on the track, but look at this, 6 very much fighting for the lead now.
And yeah, I meant the weather wasn't. I said the weather looked horrible because I was distracted by the camera, but yeah. I meant there was a big black cloud over the sort of the Indy part of the circuit where it's been looming all day, really. Yeah,
it's definitely getting more overcast out there. Frosty back up into 3rd position. We're going to see that moment for Jensen Bishop. It's into Graham Hill Bend and gone down on the exit of the corner.
Yeah, just a little high side. It's quite a usual crash out of Graham Hill there, but on these smaller CCs doesn't usually happen as much. He just lost the rear and kicked him over the front, and that he's going to need a bath tonight. That's going to be a bit sore.
Well, Frosty's lost ground to the leading pair, and Dunnerby nearly making it 3 wide down the Brabham Straight, but it's Soroviak who goes back through into 3rd position. The championship leader back up into a podium spot, but Frosty's coming straight back at him into Druids. Nothing doing there. Peter Willis also fancies the run on Jack Dunnerby there. Gets a very nice tight line out of Druids, but I think the RS Racing Machine should just have that one covered off. You've got 5 of those machines, 3 of them under the Team Cavara projects, 2 of them under City Lifting, and it is Dunnerby who does manage to go through onto Ryan Frost. That is the rain in the distance you were talking about there, Danny.
Yeah, it looks horrendous. I can see that cloud coming over, but what we're seeing here, I'd like to see this lap be completed and see what the lap time is, because that last lap, the top 6 all were within a 10th of each other. So very evenly matched, and even though there's a bit of passing going on, they were still very evenly matched. But the top 2 seeming to break away here. But let's see how it unfolds. We've not got no notification of rain at the minute on the circuit or any rain flags out. So, but it's dark. It's got a lot darker. Let's see what Ethan Sparks does. Obviously, yesterday it started to rain. He held his composure. He did a great job, and he obviously won the race.
Top 6 were covered by just over 0.8 of a second on that previous lap. There is absolutely nothing separating these guys at the moment, but it's still Sparky who leads at the end of lap number 5. We did not get to full race distance yesterday. It was red flagged as the weather conditions worsened. We risked the same thing happening today with that weather on the horizon, and no doubt these guys are going to have to survive a slightly tumultuous period as Dunnerby finds his way through on Soroviak. He's up into 3rd position. Frosty waiting in the wings. McKay again looking on the inside as Sparks takes that wide line into Druids. But the top 2 still maintaining a nice little gap to the battle for 3rd position as they're squabbling a little bit more than the top 2.
Yeah, and when you're leading this race, you just need to keep making sure that you're over the line first. You can see that weather coming in. They'll be very well aware of the rain's going to be due to start anytime soon. They'd have known the Superbike race, it started to rain, in the Superstock race. And, they're going to be very well aware of that. So it's going to be very important for these guys to be thinking, I just need to be first across the line, because if they get to 2/3 distance and they red flag it, that's obviously declared a result. So all this is going on in their brains while they're racing, and it's, they're trying to race a motorbike, challenge each other, and also think about these things as well.
35.4 by the way for Dunnerby is the new lap record. We've got Huntingford down at Graham Hill Bend, the number 76 machine, Charlie Huntingford on the Holmes Clark Motor Technics Racing machine. He's gone out of the race. That's our 2nd casualty of the day. Now that was Sparks getting all over the curbing on the exit of Sterling's. This might be McKay's best chance yet. And look at that, Dunderby, Soroviak, Frost and Willis are right back with them once again. You could throw a blanket over those 6 bikes as we start lap number 7. Let's see what the gap is when they go over the timing line between the lot of them. Only just over 7/10 of a second. Another new lap record done, this time by Jack Dunderby. It was a 35.2. This is what happened to Charlie Huntingford. Almost exactly the same as what happened to Jensen Bishop.
Yeah, just picking up the gas there, maybe a little bit too hard, a little bit too much lean angle for that point in the of the tyre, obviously. But yeah, it's interesting to see that these have the fact that they've closed this gap right up. You know, they're all thinking, oh, there's a bit of a debris on the track there. Nothing. The marshals won't be too worried about that. It's out of the racing line. But these guys now are thinking, you know, Dunderby's at the front there, and you know they're just thinking we need to get to the front. Because if this race gets red flagged, will be declared. So all of a sudden, a bit of urgency there.
And McKay's into the lead. McKay has moved his way past Ethan Sparks, and Sparky's trying to take it straight back again. That's that straight line speed we were talking about. The lighter riders, the younger riders, do seem to have an advantage in a straight line. They're a bit more aerodynamically efficient, let's say. McKay trying to take it back into Westfield. He's been pretty hot through here over the course of the race, but can't take the lead back again there, and might actually end up costing himself a place to Jack Dunderby. No, Dunderby has to follow in behind, and for all the talk of Ethan Sparks in his rookie campaign, Dunderby is another one of these youngster riders who's coming in for his first season and doing a cracking job out there.
Yeah, really good job. Obviously, you know, Ethan Sparks, Jack Dunderby, first timers this year, and a great job. But yeah, you've got to think Harrison McKay here just wants to get himself to the front. But you'll see the advantage in the straight line for Harrison, for the younger two, the smaller two, Dunderby and Ethan Sparks. But Harrison McKay will have a little bit more. He'll be able to brake a little bit harder, a bit later, and have a little bit better leverage through the turns.
Oh, Willis accidentally, I think, taking 2 in 1 there. I don't think he intended to make that move on Dunderby, who has to sit up in the middle of the corner. Loses out to Willis, loses out to Soroviak, and loses out to Frost as well. He's now at the back of this train in 6th place.
Yeah, and Willis up to 3rd. You know, what a move. You know, he might let the brake off accidentally there, but the others, great job, you know, sensed it coming, lifted up. Sometimes what people will do is they'll try and stay leant over and cause a collision. So, oh, Sparks there.
Sparks from Sparky.
I think that might have been Dunderby. If it was Sparks from Sparky, then that's brilliant.
I think it would have been McKay or Sparky, I think. I think that's just our race leader living up to his name there. Very odd.
Sparky toe sliders.
Yeah. Dunderby tried to take back one of those places on Ryan Frost, moves himself up into 5th position through Hawthorne. Oh, that is a massive accident for Peter Willis. Yes, the number 99, the Silverstone winner. And oh my goodness me, that is one trashed machine.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You know, as he's gone into the turn there, he's lost that.
Well, we're going to see what happened from another angle. Oh my goodness, so he's run off in the middle of the corner and made it all the way to the tyre stacks as well.
Yeah, glad he's got up and he's okay. It's a fast turn down into Hawthorne. You know, these bikes are probably top gear, back one, turning in and full gas again. So it's a very fast turn. Glad to see Peter's up okay.
Such a shame having just made his way up into 3rd position, but it's game on once again between Sparks and McKay. McKay to the inside, but Sparks has got a lot of entry speed there, manages to repel the advances. Jack Dunderby all of a sudden is back up into 3rd place, having only a couple of minutes ago he was down in 6th. So he's still ahead of Soroviak, still ahead of Frost, top 2 in the championship, still line astern there. It is advantage Soroviak, though, in the championship. He'd be extending at this point. Remember, just 1 point between Soroviak and Frost, who have had 2 very contrasting seasons. Soroviak with all the wins to his name, Frosty with the consistency.
But you know what? You look at Ethan Sparks, the way he's riding his bike, you'd think he was a seasoned veteran. You know, he's making no mistakes. He's just doing a great job here. Oh, he did just lose the rear. It looked like maybe just a little lost the front, sorry.
So another angle of the Peter Willis incident from 3rd. And, oh, is this the Sparks? Oh, my goodness. So
Sparky
the Sparks,
sliders.
Yeah, coming off of McKay's boot there. That is brilliant. That's one for the Instagram, isn't it? So look at this, Frost trying to get back on the inside of Philip Soroviak for 4th position into Sheen. Top 2 really starting to pull away now, though, but I can't help but feel that a couple of place changes there might suddenly bring these 3 guys back into it again.
Yeah, the last 2, you know, the top 2 were a lot faster that last lap, over 0.7 of a second quicker than the next 3. So I feel like they've given themselves a good break. I really feel like McKay wants to win this, but he's going to have to do a good job. He's going to have to really try hard, because Sparks is doing a good job. He's holding his nerve. He's doing you'd think he was a seasoned veteran. You know, he's handling this pressure and this pace so well. You know, he's sweeping lines. He's doing a good job, and I really like watching him.
5 laps to go then in this second race of the weekend for the R&G British Talent Cup. Quite significantly, we have hit the 2/3 distance now, so if there was going to be a sudden downpour of rain and the race was red flagged, we would be declaring the result as we did yesterday. And it's worth mentioning as well that after this weekend we do head into the second half of the season. Still rounds to come at Thruxton, again to Donington Park. We go to Assen in September as well for an international round before rounding out the season in Alton Park, where hopefully the championship will go down to the wire, and it may well do if things keep playing out as they are. Very close there between Soroviak and Frost. Frosty had a bit of a run down Pilgrim's Drop but couldn't really do much with it. I'm told the rain flags are now being displayed around the circuit. I'm sure we'll see one of the LED panels across the track at some point, but there's Soroviak going for 3rd position into Sheen. Curve on his teammate, moves past Jack Dunderby on the inside. Dunderby trying to take it back straight away. Let's look for that LED board at the top of the Bennett's Insurance banner. That is the rain flag, so the rain has arrived.
Soroviak's going to really hope that he can get through to the finish line here. Oh, it's raining a lot harder than I thought.
Yeah, it really is.
They're going to hope.
And the red flag has come out straight away. Red flag straight away. We have hit the 2/3 distance, and so it will be for the second time back-to-back victories for Ethan Sparks, who has dominated proceedings at Brands Hatch in this round of the R&G British Talent Cup. A shame that both of these races we've had to shorten because of the weather. That is just luck of the draw, I'm afraid, in terms of the timetable, but it has really started hammering down. I hope everyone's got some brollies out there. It's a weird weekend here at Brands Hatch. You need your short sleeves, your rain jackets, your sunglasses and your umbrella at the same time. Yeah,
the only one I feel sorry for there is Soroviak. You know, he's just passed Dunderby there, and obviously looking at it from the other angle, obviously I'm happy for Dunderby that they've, you know, before Soroviak got to the line in front of him, he's obviously managed to keep that 3rd place. But great heads-up riding by Ethan Sparks. He's just getting to the finish line every lap, done a great job, managed to fend off McKay and had a bit more of a lead than we actually thought on that last lap. So great job by McKay as well. You know, another 2nd place. I know he wants to win races, but another fantastic ride by him.
Well, this is the weekend. Ethan Sparks arrived in the R&G British Talent Cup, and no better place for him to do it than at his home meeting. And it is pole position, 2 race wins for Sparky. Soroviak just missing out on the podium in the end. It's only 4th for him. That's the first time he's finished off the podium all season long.
Yeah, Dunderby's pointing to himself saying, is it me or is it you?
Yeah,
but obviously it's
there?
going back a lap. Soroviak probably knows that, obviously a bit more experience, but that'll be a nice, pleasant surprise for Dunderby, that he's going to try and get back to the pits as quick as he can to see whether he's going to be spraying the champagne or not, or the lemonade.
And quite. Dunderby also getting the new lap record as well, 1:35.237 there in 3rd position. So, oh my goodness. The rain, it is biblical out there at the moment.
Can I just say a massive shout out to race control again. They've not wasted any time. They've not let anyone go down. They've literally seen that coming in and just cancelled it. And that is something that is fantastic. And in that split-second decision they had to make, it's very difficult to do. So, yeah, great effort by race control to see that come in, and to look, Dunderby's going to get a pleasant surprise here. Look, down into pit lane.
Yeah, definitely seconded there. Stuart Higgs at race control, making all the right calls there, getting the red flags out promptly as soon as the weather arrived. And so here comes Sparky down pit lane, and once again into the P1 board.
Nice to see RS Racing 1, 2 and 3.
1, 2, 3 and 4.
1, 2, 3 and 4.
Yeah, it's
and
all
7th and 15th and 23rd and 45th.
The Team Cavara projects looking at the podium. The City Lifting outfit in fourth. Let's go through the full results then. It's a second victory for Ethan Sparks, a quarter of a second ahead of Harrison McKay, joined by Jack Dunnerby on the podium. Then it's Filip Saraviak who finishes outside the podium for the first time this season. Ryan Frost in fifth in the end. Mason Foster just ahead of Clayton Edmonds, Julian Correa and Josh Raymond Jr. Not much splitting them at all. And then Jack Burrows completing the top 10. Just outside there we have Ben Joliffe, George Bowes, Scott McPhee, Alexander Owen and Samuel Munson inside the points. And missing out by only 9,000ths of a second on a point there was Blake Wilson, with Joshua Williams, Isaiah Devine, Lewis Mullen and Lily Rhodes inside the top 19. Let's take a look at the championship standings then. Now 3 points separating Filip Saraviak and Ryan Frost. He extends the advantage. Ethan Sparks closing in though, only 13 points back from the championship leader now. Harrison McKay and Jack Dunnerby not out of it just yet either, as we hit the halfway mark in this campaign. Slightly further down, Clayton Edmonds in 11th with Ben Joliffe. Very close as well between Jack Burrows and Dan Goodman. Scott McPhee, you can see there, in 17th.
Jack Dunnerby back again. Nice to see you again. Rain came down again in that one, a little bit more this time though, and another podium for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got really lucky there because as the red flag came out coming at the final corner, my rear end slid out. But no, it was a good race. One of the other riders got up down inside me and I lost a bit of time, but managed to gain it all back and yeah, got a third, 2 podiums in one weekend, so I'm really happy with that.
Fantastic job, congratulations.
Thank you.
Right, in second place then, he's just coming in, is his teammate, Harrison McKay. Harrison, how was that? Looked a little bit sketchy there towards the end with that weather.
Yeah, you know, obviously yesterday's race, Ethan managed to pull a massive gap away from us, so going into this race, I made sure I stuck with him the whole race, which I did. Just so difficult to pass him, but I'm happy with that, you know, the rain called it off short, but I was there, so I'm happy.
Do you think you could have took it to him then if the rain hadn't come?
Yeah, we'll see. I'm pretty sure. I'm confident. So, yeah, for the win next.
Good lad. We'll see. Thruxton next for you guys?
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Right, we'll see you there.
See you there.
Right then, your race 2 winner. Is going to squeeze in here. Ethan Sparks, how was that? Double victory here at Brands Hatch. You've got to be happy with that.
Yeah, brilliant. It was such a good race. Again, almost the exact same as last time. I led most laps and obviously the rain came out like last time, so it couldn't have been any similar. I'm really happy because it's one of my home rounds, so yeah, thanks everyone to coming to watch me and hopefully I can do more next round.
Thruxton's the next round for you. Have you been there before?
No, all the tracks in the calendar I've never ridden before, so apart from Donington, which I've already ridden previously this season, so yeah, it's all new tracks for me.
Seems like you're quite a fast learner then.
Yeah, obviously in Spain I'm also learning quite a few tracks in the ETC, so yeah, I pick up the tracks quite quick, which is good.
Well, you're going to love Thruxton, I can assure you. Best of luck there.
Thank you.
Well, another superb performance from Ethan Sparks. He makes it back-to-back victories and closes in on the championship leader. His title hopes are certainly not through just yet. But of course, he's going up against much more experienced riders. And as he mentioned, they're also competing in the European Talent Cup. But what a season it has been for young Sparky. It's no wonder that MCN voted him Rider of the Year in 2023. We move on to the podium then. And it is, once again, Jack Dunnerby on the podium. Back-to-back occasions for him. It was second for him yesterday, third today, adding on to the podium. He also scored on the MotoGP support bill at the British Grand Prix. Harrison McKay back on the podium for the first time since that Silverstone round back in May. He kicked off the campaign with 3 consecutive podiums. We haven't seen him on the rostrum since. He matches his best finish of the season. But of course, for Ethan Sparks, it is not only a 4th visit to the rostrum this season, but his 2nd time on the top step. Great stuff. And once again, the championship heading to Thruxton in just a couple of weeks' time on the 9th and 10th of August. And look at that for RS Racing. Team Cavara projects 1, 2 and 3 here at Brands Hatch. The second race of the R&G British Talent Cup in Brands Hatch saw Ethan Sparks on pole position once again. Despite a better start from Harrison McKay, Sparky just held on to the lead. Championship protagonists Ryan Frost and Filip Surawiak fought for third position, while McKay tried to find a way through from the race 1 winner. Jack Dunnerby and Peter Willis also battled for the podium. At one point, there was only about 0.8 of a second separating those 6 bikes fighting for the lead. But at no point were McKay and Sparks toppled for a top 2 position. Peter Willis, after just making his way into third, dropped it at Hawthorne. A big scary crash for him, but he got up and was okay. Surawiak with a dive on the inside on Jack Dunnerby for third position, but once again the race was red flagged due to the adverse weather conditions and giving Ethan Sparks back-to-back victories in the R&G British Talent Cup and allowing him to close in on championship leader Filip Surawiak.